Hey, can you hear me? Let's see if the sound's working. Let's see. Try pressing on and off mute if you can't hear me. Let's see. Sometimes it's finicky. Might have to log out and log back in. Yeah, still nothing. Strange. Okay, I'm gonna restart it. All right, I'll log us back in.
Testing. Yeah.
Oh, there we
You
go.
can.
Yeah, I can hear you now. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, okay, perfect.
I'll put you on speakers and see if it works. So I can hear you louder. Right.
How about now? Can you hear me all right?
Okay. Great.
Perfect. All right, well, Boyce, how's your day going? It's morning for you, right?
This morning. So
Nice.
just had my breakfast and everything.
Excellent.
You're looking quite different from your pictures.
Oh yeah, I recently shaved my head. I was trying something new. That was only like a week ago I shaved it. I don't know. I might grow it back.
By the way, how old are you, Ian? I'm having difficulty guessing your age. Maybe what, late 20s?
Mid-20s. I'm about to turn 26. Yeah. I got started real early. I started doing this when I was like 17, 16. So so yeah, about a decade now. Yeah. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
No, because I saw on your Facebook saying that you could always remember your dreams since you were 16 or something, or before that even.
Oh yeah, when I was 12, I started lucid dreaming, and then I started helping others when I was like 16, 17, around then. So yeah, I've been like slowly building up knowledge of teaching others lucid dreaming, because like it's one thing to learn it yourself, it's another thing to teach others how to do it, and do it fast, because most people want it immediately. So that's the big thing. But you recently got your first lucid dream, right? Tell me about it.
But wasn't that aesthetic, I thought, because it wasn't very clear.
Mm-hmm.
So it felt good. Okay, it goes like this. Actually, I had it. How do you say? A few years ago, I had one recognition that was in the dream, but that was many years ago, like 4 years ago, while
Mm-hmm.
doing meditation retreat in the hills for every day. And I woke up immediately, and I didn't have one ever since. And then I had another one before I took your course, but that was because I have to wake up in the middle of the night and go back to sleep after 1 hour. So I recognized it. So at that point, I felt that my brain was kind of like having this more awareness senses here.
Mm-hmm.
And so that felt like good. And then the next one I had was the one I told you. And this was last week. So it was, I was excited in the dream, but not too excited that I woke up.
Good, yeah.
So I didn't have to do the spinning, like what you said. And but my concern was like, okay, so this is my second or third time now. I need to make it clearer, and I tried to do this and try to feel my body and feel environment, and it was like a bit clear and out in out. So I was, that's not so nice. And then after like maybe a couple of minutes, my sleeping body starts to aware. I start to aware that, okay, now I have two bodies. And I try to ignore it. Okay, don't forget about that sleeping body. Forget about sleeping body. Go back to the dream. And and then it keeps on coming back every once in a while, like 2 or 3 times. So in the end, then I lost my concentration in dream, I think. So just
Mhm.
the body became too aware, the sleeping body became too aware. So I got out, I
Right.
fell out.
Well,
Yeah.
what did you do while you were in the lucid dream? Did you fly around and check that out? Did you try that out?
Yeah, I tried to, no, here's the thing. I tried to jump to the roof by flying
Hmm.
because I was in a hotel or something. I got out of the hotel. So I said, okay, now let's try the rain thing. Okay. So it seemed to rain. I was like, okay, make sure it's really raining. I mean, try to feel the rain. I try to feel the rain. Okay, I think I'm feeling the rain. Okay, now then it got a bit clearer. Then, okay, that's good. So I tried to jump to the roof. But the thing is that when I jumped to the roof, so I thought I could feel the winds, and I got to the roof and I was on the roof. But to be honest, I can't feel, I'm not so confident that I really was experiencing it.
Hmm.
I, was I visualizing it? Did I imagine it? Or that was the issue?
Right. Okay. Yeah. Well, that's definitely a good first start. You know, like the fact that you were in the dream and you recognize you were dreaming, like that's definitely a lucid dream. And what you'll experience more and more as you start to consistently lucid dream is it will feel realer and realer, to the point where, in your mind you have to accept it as your new reality. Like, even you're dreaming, you stick your finger through your hand, it goes through, you know you're dreaming, but you accept it as your current reality. So that will keep you from like going back and forth and having that hazy situation where it doesn't feel quite real, because it's like playing a video game. Like, it's fake, but you can get really immersed in the video game, and really enjoy it for what it is. And that's kind of what you have to treat lucid dreaming with. And you can get to the point, like I have advanced students where you actually have to dial back how intense you want to feel, because like for me, usually what I do is I have a pain threshold. So it's like anything, like pain related, you immediately snap out of the dream, or anything
Right.
like that. Like, because in the beginning, you're going to be wanting to do fun stuff, fly around, talk to people you necessarily couldn't talk to, meditate, things like that. But the more you do it, you'll have hours and hours out of your day that you now get to add, now that you're a consistent lucid dreamer. So, you want to try things all under the sun, try different lives, do dreams within dreams where you can be in there for months, if not years. And then at that point, there's only, it's like, I forget the saying, but it's like, if you could snap your fingers and get everything you ever wanted and keep snapping your fingers and snapping your fingers, once you have everything you ever wanted and you experienced all of it, you'd now be like, okay, there's nothing left to experience other than just try other versions of, reality. So that's kind of the point I hit after doing this for so long. Cause like mentally, if you equate it to how much time I've actually been in the dream, like I'd probably be 300 mentally, right now, just from doing all the dreams within dreams and lucid dreaming so much. So what I do personally now is, like I use part of the time to workshop new ideas, inventions I'm trying to create in this reality, and then I like to also experience just different lives. Like sometimes I purposely have trained my brain to forget I'm lucid dreaming and experience the dream so it feels like another reality. And then that comes down to your belief system too, because some people believe in the multiverse theory where there's infinite universes, infinite possibilities. So they think when we lucid dream, you're just experiencing a different reality. So there's many ways to look at it, whether you view it as a video game or other reality. It's all about how you use it in your own waking life. Like I remember your big goal was to reach that enlightenment point. Whatever that means for you specifically, I would recommend try, meditating in a lucid dream. You'd be surprised. Like your brain feels like it lights up fully. It's like full immersion with your subconscious. So I definitely would try that out. But the best way to start getting more and more lucid dreams is have a plan for when you're in the lucid dream, what you want to do, and not try so hard to get it. Like, oh, I got a lucid dream. That don't You won't have any that way. You got to be like, oh, I'm gonna have another lucid dream tonight. It's gonna be fun and easy. I'm having a great time. And if it doesn't happen, that's cool too. There's always tomorrow. And when you set your brain up like that, where it's just a routine, I do this all the time. This is just a part of my life. Your brain will allow that to happen, because you're dreaming anyways. You're dreaming 3 to 6 times per night on average. And your brain usually logs that as unnecessary information, so you don't remember it when you wake up, unless you train yourself to. And it sounds like you've been training yourself to starting to have that dream recall, where you can remember at least bits and pieces of the end dream. And once you see those patterns over and over as you log them in your journal, you'll start to say, okay, now I realize when I'm dreaming, because that's really what you're doing. There's 2 ways of doing it. You go from waking to straight into a lucid dream, or you're in a dream already and then something seems off and you're like, oh wait, I'm dreaming, and now the lucid dream begins. So there's 2 ways of entering it. Both ways work. I usually recommend the second way, because that doesn't really affect your sleep cycle as much, because you're already immersed in the REM sleep cycle, which is rapid eye movement. That's when your eyes are moving, but your whole brain is asleep technically, and that's actually when your brain's most active. And scientists have believed that that's actually when your brain fully recharges. There's many cycles of sleep, from light to deep sleep, and then you enter REM, and that's when your brain lights up if you have it on electronic readings. And I like to equate it to, I guess this wouldn't be scientifically accurate, but I'd like to equate it to, your computer is drained during the day and then you plug it in that night to charge. I view lucid dreaming as, while it's charging, you're surfing the internet, so like it's still charging, you're getting a boost, and you're getting that extra time to really explore, a little bit more, if that makes sense. Yeah. So, so you're in week 4 or 5 right now of the course?
5.
Week 5. So how are you enjoying it so far?
I'm not doing so well, I think, because it's no lucid dream, and actually, I think when I spoke to you the first time, you might remember that I was telling you, I did mention that I'm kind of very much kind of obsessed with it, the idea that, and that I think is the one that is the very thing that's giving the obstacle.
Yeah, I remember like the night before you had the lucid dream, I told you to just let go, stop trying so hard. And I think that's when you actually had it, right? So it's like because when you press your mind to want something so bad, it's really counterintuitive, but your mind pushes hard against it because it doesn't feel natural when you're pressured and hard. So once you start feeling very like loosey-goosey and relaxed about it, and it's kind of the fake it till you make it strategy. I always recommend it. It's like, you believe what you want to be has already happened and you're already living in that reality. And then what happens is your subconscious is just looking for patterns. And if you keep feeding it those patterns of, hey, this already happened, I'm already living this way, then your subconscious catches up with you. And then you enter that reality where it's like, oh, okay. Because, everything we do on a daily basis is just our subconscious finding patterns in this 3-dimensional world, right? It's no more complicated than that. Our brain's just a computer looking for patterns that fit with its thoughts, beliefs, and actions. Our thoughts, the things we think every day, 95% of what we think, if you actually write down everything you think, it's the same every day. We have like 10,000 thoughts per day, 95% of them are the same, and they're just on autopilot. And until you actually think about what you're thinking about, you can't really change anything. And then the beliefs are just the thoughts you continue to think, so that 95%. And then actions are the things you do in this 3-dimensional world based on your beliefs. So everything circles back to thoughts, right? So if you change your thoughts, then your beliefs change, and then you take actions to do it. It's like there was this documentary on, I forget his name, but he was homeless and he became a billionaire in the hair product niche category. And they asked him, how did you transition from homeless to billionaire? And he said, I literally believed I was a billionaire before it happened. So what happened was he changed his thought process from, oh no, I need a quarter, I'm living on the streets, to I'm a billionaire, I have infinite funds, I'm creating wonderful things. So once you do that long enough, your subconscious is like, oh, I guess he's a billionaire, so I'm going to start finding patterns that align with his beliefs. And then he starts taking action to build his business to get him to that billionaire status. So yeah.
The trick is to sustain the belief and to keep.
Yeah, that's the key thing, because we want things so badly, and we can only believe something for so long until it appears. But if you like track most religions, they have that same central theory. It's like you believe in, you know, a higher power or a god or some benevolent deity, or even if you're, you know, atheist, you believe in nothing. That's still believing in something. So it's that logic. Like you know there's either something else out there or something's not. But if you change your thought process to change your beliefs, to change your actions, you get there in the end. So what I recommend is, you know, it's kind of cliche now with all the new age attraction methods and things like that, but like having a vision board of the life you want to live at already achieved. And what you do is every morning and every night, like I have mine right there in the corner. I look at it every morning and every night right before I go to sleep, and kind of close your eyes and believe you're already in that reality. And the more you can do that, and the more consistent you can get, the closer you'll get there. And then you'll start seeing patterns in your reality that will align you with that goal.
It's like beside your bed, the white thing.
Yeah, that one right there. Yeah, my bed's this big white bed over here. That circles back to the I think that was the first lesson. It's like have a clean room, like
Yes.
very sparse. Like I have a baby blue light for calming, and these are actually paintings I painted right here. So yeah, you just surround yourself with calm, cooling images, because that's what your subconscious is always focused on. Yeah.
Vision board is like with the pictures and the drawings and writings.
Yeah, you can like crop pictures off the internet or draw things yourself, but it's the reality you want to live. So, you know, some people do it 6 months out, a year out, 5 years out of where you want to be in your life. And then when you start looking at that every day and every night, you kind of reflect on where you are currently. Like Steve Jobs had this thing. It's very similar, where every morning he would wake up and look in the mirror, and he said, if this was my last day on earth, and I'm about to do what I'm about to do, would I be happy? You know, ending my day doing what I'm about to do. And if the answer is no, several days in a row, you're doing the wrong thing. And that circles back to actions, right? And he believed in something very similar. He called it the his reality distortion field, where he would have this idea for a product or invention, and he believed so inherently that it could exist, even if his engineers said, no, that's impossible. But you do it long enough, and then your engineers start to believe it, and they start looking for patterns of how to create it. You know, and that's how he was able to make all these great products. And you know, now we're all living with iPhones mostly, or smartphones, kind of based off of that whole industry they created, him and Bill Gates.
By the way, is it okay if I want to record or?
Oh yeah, I'm recording this too. I thought it would be a good idea to start recording these the first Lucid Dream videos to inspire other students. So if that's okay with you, I'll be uploading this on social media as well.
Could you send me a copy or?
Oh yeah, definitely. I'll send it. It will take a day or two to process, and then I'll send it to you once it goes through. So yeah, so you got your first, you know, kind of full lucid dream. It was a little blurry, but you were able to do some things. What are your goals moving forward? You know, what are you trying to achieve?
Actually, I had another 2 more the following night.
Okay, so you're definitely ramping up the consistency. That's good. Okay, so where yeah.
One of the dream was that I have to check my journal, but I can remember the next one. So the following one because it was quite unique, because I was using I woke up. I've been waking up every night ever since I started the Lucid Accelerator. I mean, naturally, like just, you know, which never happens to me at all, ever. First time. And consistently every night from dream or whatever it was, just my subconscious just kicks me out, and I go to sleep. So on that night, the following after the first lucid dream, so I thought, okay, well, I'm going back to sleep, so I might as well use the lucid fraction when I'm going back to sleep. So I did that, and then I saw the image, like there was this like a ball of fire, red color in water kind of thing. So I just allow it to come to me. And then I was maybe a bit impatient, so I jumped into it. Anyway, it doesn't.
Seeing a central theme here, yeah.
my character. And so then I found myself, okay, it looks like I'm on an island. Okay, I'm in a field of grass or something like that. Okay, doesn't seem to be anyone around. Again, not clear. So I thought, okay, why don't I visualize someone? So I thought I visualize you. Right?
Oh
And
yeah,
then
that happens often. Yeah.
yeah, and then you appeared. This was week 4, yeah.
Hmm.
This was yeah. And then you appeared, and then I was supposed to switch places. So I tried to switch with you. so so then, but the problem is it was not clear, right? So I again it's back to the doubt switch. Did I imagine the whole thing? So I
Did
kind
you
of
did you ask me questions or talk to me at all?
no,
Okay, yeah.
I don't, not that I remember, not that I remember. Too impatient, you see.
Too
So
impatient. Yeah.
I did the exercise immediately because there was a switch. So I
Yeah.
just did that, and then I saw myself. I thought, at least I thought, and then
Hmm.
the dream ends because I
Okay.
start feeling the body again.
Great.
So there was the second or the third night. Oh yeah, there was a third one. The second one was it was 3 lucid dreams, 3 nights in a row. So the second night was it was triggered by the same thing because now so far the lucid attraction hasn't been really working because I really like the method, but hasn't kicked me into lucid dream yet. I think except for this island experience.
Hmm.
Uh, So the first 2 lucid dreams, the second one and the first one was triggered by the same thing. I woke up in the dream, I go back and I found myself in the same dream and I got lucid. So so the second one happened the same way, except that it was followed up by another one, a short sequence, which were both lucid. So 2 lucid dreams, very short sequence. In the second one, I found that I was an iPhone. I was a phone.
That's great. We were just talking about iPhones. It's all a circle. That's
The
great.
problem was the phone was being thrown out. So I woke up. It was just anyway. Yeah.
That's very
So
great.
okay.
I do you ever meditate? Like, have
I
you ever?
meditate every
Yeah,
day.
every day you do. How long do you meditate for?
Quite a lot.
And
I do
what's your type of meditation? Do you repeat a word into your head? Do you just close your head and like what's your type?
various meditation, um, various concentration meditation. Like, have you ever heard of Sedona method or Lester Levinson? Have you ever heard of this?
No.
Anyway, it's a very interesting story. He was a businessman.
Hmm.
One day he found out he was going to die. The doctors gave him like a week to live, and then he was asked to go home and said, "We can't do anything else for you." So, and he was a very successful businessman. He was making lots of money. But unfortunately, this happened to him, and he went back and then he said, "Okay, now I'm going back to die. That's ridiculous, right? That's crazy. So what should I do?" And he was like, "Okay, I'm not going to sit around." Finally, he thought about it. I'm not going to stick around. I'm sick of this. I'm going to find out no matter what to do something because I'm going to die anyway. I'm going to do everything I can. So he went back to his life and found out that, okay, what have I been doing throughout my life to find a solution? And I couldn't find it. Oh, he studied everything. He studied all sorts of things, and he found that everything he studied wasn't good enough, it seems. So he went back to his own mind instead. Instead of looking outside, he looked inside. And then he found that he has been having these issues where he has been looking for things in the wrong direction outside the world. He should have been looking for it inside himself.
Hmm.
And he found all this subconscious programming, which has been quite negative. So he started to release them. And he released and released and released. And then he did that for 3 months. At the middle or at the end, I think it was in the middle, his body was fully cured. Like he got rid of all his diseases. He was back to 100% health. And then he became, at least, that's why he said, enlightened.
Hmm.
So his method was this release method. Release all the wants of being. Because if you want something you don't have, it's what we've been talking about, right?
Right.
If I want to, then I'm not. So he released all the wants. And so that's one of the methods I found that's very useful. And this is not one of the non-Buddhist things, which I'm sharing with you. And of course, I'm doing the Buddhist one, which is looking at the nature of the mind, which is we have to deconstruct the mind, deconstruct, I'm not this, I'm not that, or this doesn't truly exist, it's just illusion, and back to like, is this a dream, it's not a dream kind of thing. So those are the meditation I've been doing. And also like once you release, then you are inside this deep kind of like concentrated state, this bliss and stuff, and your mind is concentrated. So I've been doing all sorts of meditation. I don't know if it's too much, but yeah.
I mean, I don't think there's too much thing as too much meditation. Like if you're able to see, that's where it's curious for your personality, where like you seem like to be very impatient with certain things, but you're able to sit through a long meditation. So it's like, you know, you're kind of at the yin yang of both sides of that.
That's a good question. I'm going to try to answer that. I think the issue with possibly in my case is that things come too easily to me, even when I meditate. It's like I've done it before in my past life. People subscribe to these things. So when I meditate, which I started like when I was 12 years old, I'm a bit similar history to you in this case. I started very, very early. Instinctively, it came to me. So when I learned meditation, it became like second nature. So when I want to get some state in meditation, it comes to me with very little effort. So the problem is, because I've got this habit, when I meet things that don't come to me, then I start, why is this not happening?
Definitely. Yeah, and that comes down to subconscious programming. It's like, because I have the very same thing with lucid dreaming, like because I was able to do it at such a young age. Like I did it from I was having frequent nightmares, and I use lucid dreaming as a tool to get over those nightmares. Sorry, what?
Wish I have nightmares so I can have lucid dreams. But anyway,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So and that kind of led into, oh, I can control the dreams, and then that led into, you know, full lucidity. So doing it that early, it's that same thing. 95% of what we're thinking is the same. So, you know, in the back of your mind, you're thinking, I'm a great meditator, even though you're not consciously thinking about it. But every time you go to meditate, in the back of your mind, you're just like, I've done this before. I know how to do this. I've done it amazingly. I'm going to have another great experience. And if you treat every situation that you want to achieve like that, you know, whether that's, you know, starting a business, earning more money, lucid dreaming, whatever that is for you, if you can treat every day like that, that's where you get those profound results. And you mentioned that, you know, businessman who was told he had a week left to live, and over the course of 3 months of reprogramming his mind, he got rid of that disease. You'd like Dr. Joe Dispenza. He kind of dedicated his life. He had a very similar story to that, and he actually studies it on a scientific basis now. Like he hooks electrodes up to people while they're in deep meditation. You know, he's helped students reverse stage 4 cancer, like really extreme results. And he views it all like the whole name dis-ease. It's the state of not being in ease. So, you know, he has a theory that like 95, you know, 98% of most diseases people have are all psychological or subconscious based. You know, other than like genetic issues, and that can get into a whole different, you know, ballpark. But he believes like the majority of it, you know, with the right, you know, thought processes, meditation, and of course prescribing to, you know, modern medication, if that's what you need, you can overcome the majority of these, you know, ailments. And it's very similar to that, because like if you think about it, you know, I bet when people get sick, you know, they're not thinking that I'm sick, but like subconsciously they've been in a state of negativity that probably led them there. You know, you don't often hear of a super positive person, you know, getting really sick. You know, that seems like kind of counterintuitive almost.
yes.
But you know, that goes on the very, you walk a very fine line once you get in that realm of woo-woo hippie stuff and, you know, modern science. So I try not to tread too deeply in that. I kind of stay in my lane with lucid dreaming, because like that's, you know, that's my ballpark. Oh, it's your subconscious. You can reprogram your mind. You can live multiple lifetimes all in the comfort of your own mind if you choose to. And then I try to apply those techniques in reality, or what we call this base reality, just
But
to make life more interesting, you know?
yeah,
That's all we
but
can do.
how do you? I have two questions.
Mhm.
One, I'm just curious, like if you have gone through what you've experienced before, does that mean that you actually have lived much more? You have a much longer life already. You have lived through a lot. So you're theoretically speaking, you could be a few hundred years old.
Yeah, that's what I was mentioning earlier. Like, physically in this three-dimensional world, I'm 25 years old based on, how we calculate years about the Earth rotating around the sun. But I meant like mentally, from all the lucid dreaming experiences I've had and doing dreams within dreams, where you're in a dream for months, if not years, the emotionality of my age feels like 200 or 300 years old just from all that time spent in the dream. Because even if you're just a casual lucid dreamer where you're lucid dreaming a couple times a week, that's hours to days to weeks of extra time you're adding to your normal schedule. Because the average person, a third of their life is spent sleeping passively. But if you turn that into an active experience, you gain all this extra time that you normally wouldn't have. And especially like with my advanced students, where you're in a lucid dream and then you go to sleep again in that lucid dream, then you prolong how long of a time you actually have, because in reality, that lucid dream is 10 to 30 minutes long. But in the lucid dream, it feels like hours to days. And then if you go in another lucid dream, that time feels like weeks to months to even longer. Like the deepest I've ever gotten is like 3 deep, where it felt like years to decades. The only hard part about that is when you wake up from because every time you wake up, you're now in that previous lucid dream. So like when you're 3 deep after being in there for like several decades, you're now in dream 2 and you remember all those decades in the dream. And then you realize, oh, I'm still dreaming, so I need to wake up again. And then you're in that dream and you have to remember all of that information. And then finally you get in base reality and you have to remember everything. And that was probably more fun than, experiencing decades in a dream for me. Just like remembering all of those moments and trying to quantize that into a small little blip in your memory. Yeah.
You can
Sorry, what?
remember all that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it takes practice, but you can. It's just like you starting to remember your dreams, that you're just at the first step. That's maybe like step 5. It's not too far off for you, honestly. But yeah, because like once you can have those long experiences where, sometimes you can have a dream where no laws of physics apply, you can fly around, do all these crazy things, you could even create a universe, be a god, be a demigod, or you can, try out a reality that's completely like this one where all the laws of physics apply, but you're just living a different life. Like you have a different profession, or you're a different gender, or you have a different background history. So there's like many avenues you can try it and do, like, because once you start lucid dreaming all the time, where you snap your fingers, you have all those sensual desires that most people want to have, be with all those celebrities they always thought about, or drive Lamborghinis or whatever that is. Once you do that a few times and it feels just as real as this reality, you kind of like wear it off, where it's like you don't really feel attached to it. It's very similar if you watch interviews of famous celebrities or very wealthy people who have all these nice things. They say this a very similar thing. It's like, once you get to that point, it doesn't feel great. Like you get that brief sense of happiness, like when you first get it, it's like, oh, it's great, I'm driving a cool car. But then after a long time, it's like, okay, what else is there? And then when I hit that, it was like it's all about helping people. For me personally, that's what happened for me. It's like, I tried all these cool things, I've lived multiple lifetimes, I keep waking up in this base reality, so I seem to be drawn to it. What am I going to do with my time? And then I turn that into, well, I can help other people experience this cool thing, and they can apply it how they want to. Like I might have mentioned, like I have some students who had PTSD or traumas that they wanted to work through. I had one student who was in a coma trying to cope with this reality, after living multiple lifetimes. And it, like, all across the board, like, that's the most fun thing for me, is helping others experience this. Or even like kids who are having nightmares, like when I was a kid and had nightmares, learning that you can overcome that through lucid dreaming. That's a big win for me. So that's kind of what I've am probably going to dedicate most of my life to. I'm still pretty young, physically, so I got a lot of time left. I might I've been working on like some inventions, ideas, because like after learning that Nikola Tesla like invented most of his things in loose dreams, I was like, I could do that too. So I was trying to think, what would people really enjoy? And the number one thing everyone always does in a lucid dream when they first lucid dream is fly. So I thought, what could I invent that's like small and capable that would allow you to fly? It would have to be electric and silent. So I started coming up with like electric propulsion ideas, and I was learning about electrogravitics and asymmetric capacitors with pulsed high voltage. So I was like,
Wow.
what if I make a product? This is months or years down the line, because I'm still in the theory phase, making sure everything works out. But what if I make a product that fits in a shoe and you can just fly around in this reality, and it feels like you're just being normal because it's in your shoe, so the gravity feels the same however you walk. But yeah, that it's stuff like that. Just you got to keep life interesting, right?
Yeah, that's very good idea. You
Yeah,
could come up with things if you have all the time in the world,
exactly. You literally have, people think our lives are limited, but once you start accessing dreams on a consistent basis, like you have too much time. It's like it can be a problem. Like it's like you once you've done everything, like it feels weird. Like once you've been a god in a dream for like a long time, it's like life feels different once you wake up again. You're like, oh, okay, gonna experience this again.
Actually, I don't know if you heard of this, but in deep meditation states, um, like in Buddhism, Buddha taught 4 levels. Now there are cases where people who goes into deep meditation and they experience as if like maybe 10 times the amount of times, no, maybe 100 times. And then before they wake up, they think that maybe few days has gone by or a few hours, but it's only been 5 minutes
Mhm.
or whatever it was.
Yeah, they're just
And
entering REM sleep. That's all it is. That's what deep meditation is. It's when you're able to shut down your whole physical body to a state where it's thinking, it's dreaming. That's what the deepest levels of meditation are, where people have those like tantric meditations where they see vivid images and things like that. They're just entering the REM cycle of sleep while they're awake, or well, consciously awake. And that's all a lucid dream is. They're just doing it during the day. So yeah, it's very similar because it circles back to your whole thing of your brain is looking for patterns, right? And based on the parameters we have set in this three-dimensional world with the laws of physics that currently apply, it sets itself up in that constraints. But once you access the full potential of your subconscious mind, you can enter your own dream world where anything's possible. Or some people say you're entering, like Tesla called it, like the Akashic records, where it's infinite consciousness. So that that comes down to your belief system. I still tend to lean more I'm more conservatively on a science basis of, until we have scientific evidence that that's the case, I tend to stray from that. But the most breakthrough sciences come from people who don't think that way. Like, it was only a couple generations ago that everybody believed Earth was the center of the universe. And it wasn't until Galileo, and they started learning more and more. And at first, they were shunned. People like Galileo were shunned for believing, hey, no, we actually revolve around the sun. There's this whole universe out there. They're like, get out of here. What are you talking about? and now we're getting those aerial phenomena videos. Have you seen those? Like the Pentagon recently released, where it's like it's propulsion devices that can move at extreme speeds, and they don't have any like rocket propulsion or propellers or anything like that. I think it's very similar to the electric propulsion I'm working on, because you can reach those extreme speeds and it wouldn't be anything noticeable outside the craft. So I think that's just all it is. Like it might be aliens, or it might be just advanced research products that like certain governments are using. But yeah, I think that's what it is. It's like asymmetric capacitors with pulsed high voltage. Tesla had a few ideas about that. Otis T. Carr did too. I think that's going to be the next phase. How we transition from horse and buggies to cars. We're going to transition from cars to electric spaceships eventually. And hey, maybe I might dedicate part of my life to helping that transition. That might
yeah,
be a fun thing to do.
probably shouldn't bring this up, but it just occurred to me bring on the Pentagon, right? Have you heard of the CIA missing page 25 issue, the case?
No.
It's about the OBE where CIA was experimenting with OBEs.
OBs?
Yeah, out of body experience, astral projection.
Oh yeah. I met I did this radio interview long ago with someone who was in an FBI program for remote viewing. They called it astral projection. And yeah, there's been a lot of declassified documents on that. I'm sure the CIA has a lot too, because they would actually they would project their consciousness out into other countries to view missile sites or find people. And apparently they had a pretty high success rate with it, where they created like sort of like my course, where they created a very structured technique of how to achieve it on a consistent basis. And I've had students play around. Like I have a week-long astral projection course in the Lucid Accelerator I included, just as a teaser if you ended up wanting to go that route too.
So you course on astral projection.
Yeah, there should. I think it opens up around week 6, where you'll get like access to a week of astral projection concepts if you want to experiment with that. Sorry, what?
You're saying there's a teaser, right?
Yeah. It's like it says astral projection week. It should be in your course in the next week or two. It will pop up in there. But it's just basic techniques to get you started. And if you're ending up being interested in that, we can hop on another call if you want to end up going that route. But what I really do, I like to do these calls where just discuss your first lucid dream, kind of see your plans moving forward. Remember, the goal isn't just one lucid dream. We want you to get it on a consistent basis and actually using it for both entertainment and productive reasons. So that's why I like to do this call, is kind of see where your plan is. And then after you finish the course, I would probably recommend for you, you said you were already getting several lucid dreams per week. If you can maintain that, keep doing that. And if you want to go more advanced, like have several per day, where we change your sleep cycle from monophasic to polyphasic, that's an option too. That's also a big thing Nikola Tesla did, where he would change his sleep cycle. Instead of 6 to 10 hours per night, he'd do 30-minute segments every few hours. So every time he went to sleep, he skipped deep sleep and light sleep and went straight into REM sleep. So he immediately had a lucid dream, and he would lucid dream 3 to 6 times per day. And that's when he created most of his inventions and things like that. Einstein also did that briefly, and Buckminster Fuller, but they weren't able to. It's a hard thing to prolong it, because it comes down to what you were raised to do as a small kid. I think I think they still exist. There's small Aboriginal tribes that traverse the forest, and they have that sleep cycle. So like if you were born into it, it's a lot easier, obviously, but like you can train yourself to get to the point where you do it. I did have a brief, few months where I did it myself, and I had some amazing experiences. But if you have like a 9-to-5 job where you have to, help people consistently, it doesn't quite work. But yeah, that's definitely an option we can go. That's a 9-week intensive course where diving into polyphasic. And then if you want to do astral projection, that's another 6-week. It's very similar to the Lucid Accelerator, but it's more focused on projecting your consciousness into this 3-dimensional world rather than projecting your consciousness into your own subconscious head. So it's a little bit different. But if you want to end up going that route a few weeks down the road, or a few months after you've had a bunch of good lucid dreaming experiences and you achieved what you want to achieve, just reach out to me. I'd be happy to help you with that.
Well, actually, I'm a bit worried about I don't know, about this lucid consistency kind of thing, because
well, you said you had 3 in a row, right? That's good. If you keep that lightheadedness of getting the dreams coming in, you'll be fine. And that's why I said circle back to it in a few weeks, because I don't want you to hop on another thing without having this set in stone yet. Remember, you're still in the foundations. You've only been doing this 4 or 5 weeks now. And we want to maintain that consistency for a good solid couple months before we move you into other areas, because you still want to achieve certain things. You told me your goal on our call was to reach a certain level of enlightenment through lucid dreaming. So achieving what you would consider enlightenment is going to be different than what someone else might consider. But until you reach that point personally, I wouldn't recommend moving on to another program or, trying out something else. Don't hop on fads, stick with one thing, do it consistently until you reach a point that you can either can't go any further, or you feel you plateaued and you need something else to complement that.
Well, so before I forget,
Mhm.
other than vision board, um, do you have any other tips about how to feed my subconscious with being a lucid dreamer?
Yeah, it's like the same thing with the, having a clean room exercise. It's whatever you surround yourself with on a daily basis, whatever you think about, whatever you believe, and whatever you take action upon creates the reality around you, right? So,
Right.
Let's say your goal is to lucid dream all the time, right? You need to set that up where, you have your dream journal like out in the open where you can see previous dreams easily. You can make a big board of all your best dreams, and right next to it have a board of cool dreams that you want to have but you haven't had yet, but you believe you already have it, kind of like the vision board. That's a good way of doing it. And the bigger the better. It of course has to look clean and organized and neat because you're going to be looking at it all the time. And then the biggest thing I always say is electronics. Try to avoid electronics a couple hours before bed. Make sure all the lights are out. Have a nightly routine. Like for me, I do the same thing every night, and that will set yourself up for getting those lucid dreams. Because once you set up that consistent ritual, like for me, it's finish all the work for the day, make sure you exercise so you're good and tired, take a shower, and then go straight to sleep. That's usually what I do. It's different for everybody, but and avoid caffeine, several hours before bed. Like I usually cut caffeine off at 5, if ever. So it's small things like that that really add up. That's probably the best recommendation, and stick with the course. Like I said in the beginning, students, after they finish the first 6 weeks, they usually revisit weeks 3 through 5 over the next couple months until it's really ingrained in them. And then once you reach that point, you can reach out again and we can, go an astral projection route, or if you want to do polyphasic sleep route, or even if you just want to continue on this, but maybe have more guided experiences, we can do that too. That really comes down to you at that point. Like I try to set everybody up for success, setting strong foundations, and how you want to take that, it's up to you. But yeah, that would probably be the biggest piece of advice I could recommend, is set up a vision board for your personal goals in this base reality. What you want to achieve in your job, your business, your family life, things like that. Any material objects you want, any cool cars, any houses, anything like that. That's what the vision board's for. And then the main dream board is previous dreams and dreams you hope to have. And remember, whenever you look at it, you have to believe, truly intentionally believe that it's already happened. And your subconscious, once you do that long enough that you believe it's already happened and you've already had that experience, your subconscious will catch up with you and give you that experience. And by the time it happens, it feels so weird because you've been thinking about it so long and you believed it already happened. It's like, oh yeah, this must have already happened. It's weird. It's like you're almost living it again. So I would recommend that for you moving forward. That just some good simple structure in your life, something you see over and over and over every day, and think about what you're thinking about. Like, so it's an extreme exercise, but some people do it. It's take the whole day from waking up to going to sleep, write down every time you have a thought, every time you have a conscious thought, write it down. You'd be so surprised what you're thinking about. And like I said, 95% of that is the same as the previous day and the previous day and the previous day. And until you consciously put in the effort to change your thoughts, nothing really will change, because you get caught up in that cycle of loops. That's why most people, live the same day over and over again and never really achieving anything new.
That's
It's
true.
only like those outliers, like the 1 to 5% that actually make big differences. And that's either because something traumatic happened to them when they're a kid that forced them in that position, or they reached a point in their adult life where they were fed up with the rut they were in, and always wanting something new experience forced them into that experience to create something amazing. Like people like, yeah.
Something happened to me when I was 12. So
Sorry, say again?
something happened to me when I was 12 years old. So that's why I'm different in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Exactly. Yeah, Sam. Uh, and sometimes it takes that for big changes. Sometimes it's as simple as, I'm just bored for what I've been doing over and over. There's only like, yeah, when I got out of college, I did college a year early. So I graduated a year early, and I took a gap year. I was like, I want to see what retirement life is like. And after 1 month, I was so bored. It's like there's only so much Netflix you can watch. It's like, and I traveled the world. I did all those things, and it's like that doesn't really. It brings temporarily fun, but it doesn't bring fulfillment. And for me, fulfillment was, helping people like you lucid dream and see them get amazing results. That's really what I've kind of morphed my character into now. And I'm just going to go with it. And yeah, like I said, maybe create a few inventions along the way.
Well, actually, my goal now, you asked me, I haven't answered your question,
Mhm.
is the one which I'm still kind of like, my clarity in my dreams really needs to improve. So that's one thing.
Mhm. Yeah,
Second
that
thing
will
is,
happen with time, definitely. It will get more and more clear. The more you have lucid dreams, the more you start to accept them as, I'm going to experience this reality, just like you would experience a movie where it's, I'm going to accept this as my reality for a temporary basis. And then the more you do that, the dreams will become clearer and clearer until it feels just as real as us speaking right now, physical sensations and all.
oh, that's so important to know. Thanks a lot. Yeah, yeah. That's really a key point. Uh, so I just need to, when I do get lucid, I need to experience that this is real, something. I need to pretend it's real, at least, or something like that. Like,
Yeah,
okay,
it's the fake it till you make it strategy. Like accept that as your new reality, and make sure always have an intention the night before, in case you do enter a lucid dream. It's like, if I do lucid dream tonight, what do I want to do? And set that intention ahead of time, because then when you get in the lucid dream, you won't be confused or accidentally wake yourself up. You'll have an intention of, I want to fly around, meet this person, or I want to meditate and experience that, or whatever that it personally is for you. Always set an intention the night before. And then another option is ask a question before you go to sleep. It's like, I'm going to ask a yes or no question when I go to sleep, and when I wake up, I want to have a definitive answer. I may not have a lucid dream, I may not remember my dreams, but when I wake up, I'm going to have a definitive answer of yes or no.
okay.
And that is the easiest way of doing it, because if there's any like big life decisions you want to have that you're not too sure about, you made the pros and cons list, all those things, doing a yes or no question before bed, you'll get that definitive answer, and you'll just move on happy with it, because that's the alignment that you're supposed to have.
Right. And the other thing is that my long-term mission, which has been the whole point of this lucid dreaming thing, is that for Buddhist philosophy, at this Buddhist point, from the Buddha's point of view, there's no difference between waking and dreaming.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to mix them. I want to, maybe from the point of ordinary perspective, then you are becoming confused, but from this practice of spiritual side is to become awake.
That's
So
that's actually a great goal to have. Obviously within reason, like maybe you could fly around in this reality without the technology I'm creating. That they're called what, telepaths or telekinesis. That's possible. That there's those stories of deep meditators who can briefly levitate. Apparently they're doing like small hops with their back muscles or something like that. But like, if you can view reality, what we're experiencing right now, and you say, hey, this is just like those lucid dreams I was having, where they feel just as real. What's the difference between that and that? And if you say, hey, there's no difference, this is just another dream, you could view it that way. There's nothing wrong with that. And some of the biggest producers have to view life that way, or you can't create amazing things. Like artists, musicians, inventors, creators. I can't remember. I think Arthur C. Clarke, he said, any significantly advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. And he was saying, life's a dream, basically. And anything you create or believe, and achieve in this reality is is pretty spectacular. The fact that we're alive right now on a science basis, trillions of cells that came together and create this universe and our bodies, and one sperm out of millions died off just so we can exist briefly and avoided all the diseases that got us to this point just so we can have this conversation across the world over wireless signals that we can't see. That there's that sounds like magic to me. That sounds like a dream. So you're already halfway there.
I mean, regarding this particular point, I mean, of course, what you said is based on the objective events, right? What's happening on the subjective experience of it. For example, neuroplasticity, right? Like when we are dreaming, there's more neuroplasticity. Am I right? Because then the mind is can accept anything or whatever it is.
Exactly. Yeah. When you hook up your brains to electrodes, and you enter, they've done sleep studies on this. When you enter REM sleep, your brain lights up all across the board, like more than you do in your normal waking life. Which is a very interesting experience, because you'd think, when your brain's so-called recharging, it would dial down, but you're finding quite the opposite in REM sleep. It's to the extreme. So that brings in a whole new set of questions that still need answered. But that's science for you. Once you have objective truths, there's so much more evidence you can compile and learn new things and create new theories.
So I was just thinking that if the mind wants to be more creative in daily life, in living waking experience, I think the issue that limits creativity is neuroplasticity, or at least one of it, because a lot of things we find that we cannot accept.
Exactly.
That limits the creativity, right? Because that limits the perception, the thoughts, possibility of thoughts that can come up.
Yeah.
If we are able to accept that this is like a dream, although it's not.
Until you believe it is, it won't be, right? It's like the only difference between you right now and the you think you want to be is believing that you're that person, right?
Yes.
So once you realize that, like on a very simple level, like absolute simple thoughts, beliefs, and actions, once you realize, hey, this person I want to be, if I just believe I'm already that person, then I'm that person now, right? So I'm already living this experience of who I want to be because I'm now believing I'm that person. So if you do that on a consistent basis, it could be short amount of times, 10 minutes a day starting out, and then you ramp it up. But your brain will start to align with that belief, and then you'll take the proper actions that align with those beliefs and those thoughts, and you're already there before you know it. You're living that life that you thought you wanted to live, and now you're living it, and you're like, okay, now what's the next level? There's always going to be a next level. We're designed that way. We were, before we were kind of just hunters and gatherers trying to fend for food, and then once we got comfortable and developed agriculture and extended our lifespans past 25, 35, we're like, what else is there? They're chasing that next rabbit. And that's where religion started to pop in. It's like trying to explain the unexplainable. And everyone had a quite, different take on it. But the central thesis was all the same, believe in this God or higher power, or, meditation, self-indulgence. And you can reach that next level of happiness. Because at the end of the day, why do we want all these material possessions? Why do we want all these relationships? It's because we think we'll be happier by having it. And if we realize that we could just be happy, it makes everything easier.
So regarding this point, I guess you must have already done it, right? Because let's say if you're in the dream or different levels, have you already not asked these questions in your dreams?
Oh yeah, like very early on. Because like once you reach the point where the lucid dream feels just as real as reality, especially when you have the dreams where you set it up where laws of physics apply and everything is very similar, and you're looking around and everything's tactile, everything feels the same. You might be speaking to someone or doing something, and it's like, how is this any different from what I call base reality? And then you realize it's not. It's the exact same thing. It's just your brain. It's just electrical signals interpreting environments around you, right? And whether you think it's the electrical signals creating the environment, or the electrical signals are like, a radio, a car radio, there's infinite wire, wireless signals coming through that we can't see. But if you turn that radio station to a certain dial, it will pop on, rock music or pop music or heavy metal. And our brains are very similar. I view it as radio signals, based on our emotions. If we're feeling really happy, now we're in that happy radio station and happy things are going to happen to us. So it's kind of view it like that. Like, I feel like your goal, you're pretty much already there. You're starting to realize that, it's really no different. Once you realize that, though, it's like, what do you do then with that knowledge? Like Buddha went out into the forest, had a REM cycle sleep, and then they created a religion around it. On the simplest point, that's kind of what happened. He was very well off. Some view him as very chubby, some view him as very skinny, what have you. Going out into the forest, meditating for several days in a row, having those deep REM cycle sleeps while meditating, experiencing different consciousness, different realities, and then sharing that with others. And that's kind of like how the religion sort of first formed, give or take a few steps. But it's that knowledge where anyone can have that experience. It doesn't matter who you are. You don't have to be Buddha, Siddhartha Gautama to have that. Anyone's capable of having those deep enlightened experiences. But the question is, what do you do next once you have that? And that's the fun part. It's like, what do you do with your time? Because
Have you ever tried to learn occult stuff in dreams? Magic or whatever.
Occult stuff?
Yeah,
I mean, I kind of view flying as like a cult, because it's you're defying the laws of physics without any technology. You're just flying around. What specifically are you thinking about?
I don't know. It could be anything. You could summon up a magician or something, teach me magic.
Yeah, you can do that. I'm sure Chris Angel did that. I mean, some people, what they do is they bring people into their lives they normally couldn't meet, like people who passed away, like they're great heroes, or things like that, and have conversations with them. And whether you're actually speaking with their consciousness entering your mind, or it's just your own subconscious reflection of what you think they'd say, does it really matter? Because it then comes down to the same point of, how is this any different from a dream, right? So it's all about the experience. It comes down to it. It doesn't matter if it's real or fake. It's all about you having experience, enjoying yourself.
So you could literally learn the magic and see if it works in real life. No,
completely possible. Like I said, thoughts, beliefs, and actions. If you prescribe to the infinite universe theory, you could align your consciousness with a universe where magic exists, right? And like I said, Arthur C. Clarke, significantly advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. If you took one of these smartphones to the 1800s and say, hey, look, you can see yourself in a reflection, so cool. They're like, witch, burn them at the stake, that's magic. So it's the same thing, what are you trying to do, with this magic? You want fire shooting out of your hands? What's the goal?
Something like remote viewing, right? You could see anywhere you want. Maybe are there people on Mars, for example, or are they...
that's astral projection. Yeah, that's the same thing. It's that I wouldn't view that as magic. It's just projecting your consciousness outwards. Yeah, like we were talking about, the CIA had a program about that. The FBI, they clearly knew something about it if they would dedicate money and resources to making people do it on a consistent basis. There's got to be something there.
I was just watching a video clip about this. They had a meeting about this, and they were talking about the missing page. They had a report, CIA had a report about the astral projection thing they were doing, but one page was missing because it was censored. And recently, I think it was found, this page 25, they call it. So they were talking about it, and they were discussing about, the CIA did experiment and a lot of things worked, but then they found out something that was just too mind-blowing. This can't be true. And they just forget about the whole thing. So then they found it. It's it was released again, or I don't know, maybe somebody had a copy of it. And they said, what they found out was, it seems that everybody's minds are connected. The very basis of all subconscious. There's all one huge mind
Hmm.
with universal consciousness. And that was just a bit too mind-blowing to accept at that point.
Yeah,
So there was
that's what Nikola Tesla was talking about with the Akashic records, where it's infinite consciousness. So like every thought that's ever been thought and every thought that ever will be thought and every action is all connected, just like our radio signals are all on a wireless basis. Our minds are all that way too, and you can access anybody's consciousness or have any experience like that. I kind of view, on a simple level, like maybe that's what lucid dreams are, where you're just able to use your mind to access that infinite consciousness. That might be possible, because if you can have infinite experiences, if even if there's not infinite universes, there's just one universe. We believe it's infinite, just this one universe. And what is infinite? That we can't quantize that. So yeah, I'm sure with their rose-colored glasses of they're in the war mindset, and if they're like, oh, everybody's mentally connected, no, this doesn't vibe well, you got to shut that down. I can totally see them doing that. That's really funny.
So I have some questions.
Yeah.
Not too many, but okay. When you said consistently lucid dream,
Mhm.
what do you quantify that? Is it like every day or?
Well, like I said, each person's different depending on what strategy you're following. For you personally, like doing monophasic sleep cycling, I would recommend, if you're having 1 to 3 per week, that you're in a pretty good place. So like, every other day or every other day, if you're having lucid dreaming experiences, and most days you should be remembering at least one dream, even if you don't lucid dream. Because like, if you're dreaming 3 to 6 times per night, remembering 1 to 3 of those dreams is usually best. And then, if you want to take it more advanced, the students who do it every day get really into it, or who do dreams within dreams, like that comes down to you, like with your own personal goals and what you're trying to achieve. Because some people, like the people who I helped with trauma, all it took for them is one lucid dream, and they were fine moving on. They didn't need lucid dreaming for anything else. But people who want to make it part of their lifestyle, that's completely up to you, how much or how little you want to do it. And then that comes into putting in consistent effort and action every day, to maintain that until it's a habit. Remember, it's yeah, like I said at the beginning, minimum 10 to 30 minutes per day of what you want to achieve. Make it a habit, and then once it's a habit, it's part of your day, it's part of your life. It's like people who were out of shape, who wanted to get into shape. That first 30 to 60 days was really hard and difficult, but once they develop that habit, where they're now going to the gym on a consistent basis, they're now eating healthy foods, they worked it into their system where that's now their life, that it's a lot easier to maintain. It's like what was the they did a test of like muscle growth and muscle maintenance, and it's like it only required 30% of the energy it took to create the muscle in the first place. It's very similar, like with these habits for lucid dreaming. It's like you're doing all the hard work now, setting the foundations, and then once you set those consistent habits, and you set yourself up for success, then you just get to enjoy the rewards and have amazing experiences.
Okay, so the idea behind the 6 weeks Lucid Accelerator is that we should be able to lucid dream every week, basically at the very minimum.
Yeah, my goal when I created it was I wanted to get people to have their first, like if they've never remembered their dream before, never had a lucid dream, I wanted to get the complete novice person to, one, have a lucid dream in the 6 weeks, hopefully within the first 3 to 5 weeks. That was the goal. And then by the end of week 6, or possibly 7, 8, 9, they're having it at least one a week if that's what they want. So that's what I set up the course to do, because it's a very beginner entry level course to get you into lucid dreams, to learn about it, have a few, to experience it, see if that's actually something you want to do on a consistent basis. And then, if that's true and that's what you want to do, then I have more advanced teachings that dive into, further goals, that require more time and energy, but that's based on what goals you want to achieve. So like I said, where you're at now, finish the course, spend a few weeks past it, revisiting the course as a need be. And then once you reach that point, if you feel like you plateaued and you want to reach the next step, then reach out to me again and we can discuss, if you want to go the astral projection route, if you want to try polyphasic sleeping, if you need help with more advanced lucid dreaming techniques, that's where we then take the time. But I want to be clear, you're still in the foundations level. So I would focus on that heavily, of getting that into a habit before you move on to any further steps.
Okay. I have a question on the lucid attraction method, the practice. I think the issue I'm facing with it is probably what's a lot of people are having similar issues, is that when you get into the practice it for the first, I think, 15-20 minutes, the body is pretty much like down, it's almost sleeping. But my mind is awake. And quite a few times my issue is to get the mind to go to sleep. And I finally decide, okay, I have to start again. Okay, let's move the body, start again. And then back to the same issue. So
yeah. Okay, so when you're at that point, really, like if you actually had a timer going while you were trying to go to sleep, not moving the body at all, at the 10 to 30 minute mark, if you literally don't move any muscle, stay completely relaxed and just are thinking, in that 10 to 30 minute mark, you'd go into a lucid dream. But you got to, your eyes are closed, you're not moving any body part, it's relaxed. You might feel physical sensations like you want to move, like your body's telling you to move, because what it's doing is it's testing you. It's seeing if is he awake or is he dreaming right now? Because your body, is just a meat organ that your brain tells what to do. So if your brain's not asleep yet and it's like, okay, maybe he still wants to be in this physical reality and experience that. That's why it's like wiggle your toes or do something like that. But if you ignore those sensations and stay completely relaxed, once you hit that 10 to 30 minute mark.
I lost your voice.
Oh yeah. Can you hear me now?
It's the music I'm hearing now.
Music.
I don't know if you can hear me. I can hear music, not your voice.
That's weird. I don't hear music. Might be on your end.
I think it's the Bluetooth, maybe. Oh no, it can't be the Bluetooth. But I can't hear you somehow. That's really strange. Wait. Hello.
Yeah, that. Can you hear me now?
Okay, I think what's happening is my speaker. I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry.
No worries.
Yeah. So
yeah, if you just don't move for that 10 to 30 minutes and you think about the lucid dream you want to enter, and when you get physical sensations, if you ignore them and stay relaxed and calm and don't move, you'll go into a lucid dream. What I recommend is start very simply. Start with the setting. Where are you in the lucid dream? Are you on a beach? Are you in a skyscraper? Where are you? Physical location. Then start to imagine, your hands, looking at your hands, where you are, what kind of weather you're experiencing, and build up from there. And what you'll find is, as long as you don't move in the physical plane, your mind will think you're dreaming. So it will go straight into REM sleep, and then you'll enter a lucid dream immediately. Okay. And that's when you can get those really long lucid dreams, because you enter into it right away.
Okay, so because in the Lucid Accelerator, you were saying that we should be able to experience some images at some point.
Yeah.
And the exercise was to listen to some kids show. I mean, I'm assuming those kids show could be cartoons, right?
Yeah. Anything that, because your subconscious is like a 5-year-old kid. Anything you don't want to show a 5-year-old kid, you don't want to show yourself. It's like people who watch scary movies and then have nightmares. Like, I wonder why, because your subconscious thinks that's real. So that's why I say a kid show. Like any happy cartoon kids show, or there's some old live action shows that people watched when they were kids. Anything like that. That's just happy-go-lucky, nothing bad happens, they have a fun little story. That's what I'm talking about. And all that exercise does is do what we were just talking about. It makes it easier for you. Instead of you having to think about what to do, you picture them being in that story or something like that. So it's a beginner version of that. It's just to help you. And like I said, every exercise in this 6-week program is foundational approaches to getting you to become a consistent lucid dreamer. So I try many techniques because, you know, some people are visual learners, some people are auditory learners. Really, you know, after years of doing this, I took the techniques that worked the most for the majority of the population and inputted it into the course. And then, you know, I still have 100% success rate, and I'm happy with that. I'm trying to keep with that. That's why that's why I'm always here if you need to talk. And when you're at that threshold of you're almost there, you're feeling like, oh, I really want it. If you just let go and allow it to happen, then it happens. You know, that's really like that last step. But you know, now you've had lucid dreams, now you've had several in a row. Your only goal now is to just maintain it. You know, you want to do it on a consistent basis over and over and over. You know, you want to have 1 to 3 per week. Sometimes more, sometimes less. It's not, you know, that important.
The issue was that you asked me to maintain a mindset, right?
Yes.
Now I could keep it up for 3 days.
That's a start, you know. It's like,
and I lost it.
yeah. Have you ever played an instrument or learned an instrument? You know, if you get on the piano, you could play something cool in the first 3 days, but if you stick with it, you could become a master piano player. So it's the same thing. It's like you got there. You had a taste of it. You know, you had a taste of that cake. All you have to do is maintain it, and that's the easy part. You know, you did the hard part getting there, and you always remember that you already did the hard part. You get the easy part now. You're going downhill. You're going downhill now. It's all smooth sailing.
But I feel like as if my mind is still telling me, no, you can't do this. You can't do this.
No, your mind is telling you, hey, you can do this if you continue on the path you're on. It's like, I'm going to give you 3 in a row. That's great. You know, that means you're capable of doing 3 in a row. That means you could have 1 every day if you wanted to. You know, I've gone months where I've had a lucid dream every single day because I've set my mind up to accept it like that. You know, it's really, and it comes down to you at the end of the day. What you think, what you believe, and what you take action upon is all that matters.
Okay, but I always thought that the you know, among all the methods, because except for the lucid attraction method, all the methods are using, like, you know, triggers, right? The trigger that we are when once we're in the dream. But lucid attraction is really different. It's like wake-induced lucid dreaming, while, as you probably heard of it, and you can like somebody call it lucid dreaming on demand, right? It's like you can, and that's this particular method is sounds to me like the only possibility you can have actually consistent lucid dreaming, no?
Polyphasic sleep cycle, similar, where you go straight into the REM sleep. But like that's why I teach both methods, because you can do lucid traction every night, but long-term, you know, sleep wise, like unless you build that into your, you know, sleep cycle, I wouldn't recommend it. That's why I recommend, you know, learning all the triggers. And you wouldn't even be able to do lucid traction method if you didn't learn all those triggers beforehand, because what those triggers do is they train your mind to realize that lucid dreaming is a possibility and you can accept it. Just like you learned that meditation, all the different types of meditation you do, and they were a possibility, you had to learn that. It's the same thing with lucid dreaming. And it's just action items that you have to do on a consistent basis. And that's it. And that's all, you know, that's the course in a nutshell. It's specific action items you need to do to train your brain to accept lucid dreams, to start having them. And then the lucid attraction method's kind of like the cherry on top of the cake, where it's like you can induce them, but if you want to have those experiences, but long term, it's better if you incorporate it into your normal sleep cycle, where you're just having a dream and you realize you're dreaming, and that's the beginning of your lucid dream journey, because that way that doesn't affect your sleep cycle at all. You know, you're still going through all the cycles of sleep if that's what you need. If you're doing polyphasic, you're just going straight into REM, so that's a whole different thing. But yeah, you know, if you're just doing monophasic sleep, 6 to 10 hours per night, avoiding caffeine and electronics several hours before bed, you know, you won't have any problems getting deep sleep and having amazing lucid dreaming experiences.
So typically for like full hour of sleep, you wouldn't start with REM, right?
So you usually go from light to there's 4 or 5 sleep cycles from light to deep, and then you enter REM if you're doing monophasic. And some people naturally wake up, around 4 a.m., 5 a.m. It's like before there was electricity, that would kind of be the time to light your candle and, use your quill, get some work done. I think, what was it? I think Edison was a big proponent of that. He called it his like golden hour or something like that. And Benjamin Franklin, I remember I read his biography, he did something similar. But yeah, like some people just naturally do that. And that's when the lucid attraction method works best. Because if you don't get out of bed and have that few hours awake before you go back to sleep, if you stay in bed, don't move your body, relax, that's where the lucid attraction method really comes into play, at that like 4 a.m., 5 a.m., if you're naturally waking up. But like I said, if people are desperate for lucid dreams, you can set an alarm at 4 a.m. and have one, but that's not a long-term strategy, right? Because that will affect your sleep cycle. That will make you very tired when you finally do wake up, and you won't be able to perform your normal daily tasks if you're in a groggy state. So that's why, yeah.
Sorry, but that's happening to me every day now, 4 o'clock. I wake up naturally.
That's completely fine. Some people will naturally do that. And you can train yourself out of it if you don't like it. But if that's working for you, and you like to go straight into a lucid dream that way and prolong it that way, that's completely fine. As long as when you do wake up again, at your normal waking time, whatever it is, 9, 10, 11, if you wake up feeling refreshed, then you did the right thing. But if you wake up feeling groggy and tired, I would revise your strategy. Because that's really the best strategy. It's like having lucid dreams and deep sleep. If you can combine those two, that's the perfect recipe.
So if I go to bed every night, even if I practice a lucid attraction before while sleeping, then it probably will not induce lucid dream directly, or at least
it can. Yeah, like that's what we're talking about. Lucid dreaming on demand. That can induce it if you don't move for that 10 to 30 minutes. Like, let's say you naturally wake up at 4 a.m. and you're like, okay, I'm awake again, but I don't move out of the bed. I don't move anywhere. I just lay back down and close my eyes. And whenever I get a physical sensation to move, if I don't move, in 10 to 30 minutes, you'll be in a dream. And if you're staying conscious, you'll be in a lucid dream. And like I said, see images, create the setting around you, see your hands moving, but you remember your physical body is not moving. It's in your mind. You're seeing your hands move, and then you'll slowly enter a lucid dream. And since you entered that dream at the beginning of REM sleep, REM sleep's 10 to 30 minutes long. If you enter it at the beginning, you'll be in there for hours. If you choose to be, you can always wake yourself up. Spike your adrenal gland to get really excited and wake yourself up. You can always do that if you need to. But you're in the early phases, so you're probably going to want to lucid dream as much as possible.
Yeah. But can I ask you, are you how often do you normally lucid dream these days? Not every
these days. I mean, these days I'm not as consistent as I used to be, because I'm spending more time focused on base reality now. I usually 3 to 5 times per week now. When I you can force yourself to anytime you want, but once you've had so many lucid dreaming experiences where you've literally tried everything, you just want to have some regular dreams and see where your subconscious takes you. Sometimes I force myself to forget I'm dreaming just to experience that dream, because sometimes dreams are your subconscious is trying to tell you something about your waking life or something that may happen in the future that you want to achieve. And if you're so focused on lucid dreaming all the time, obviously this doesn't apply to you yet because you're so early on in it, but because when you get to a point when you remember your dreams every single night, then sometimes you want to be like, what are my dreams trying to tell me? I'm going to experience that. And then sometimes you want to control everything. You want to control your setting. You want to be with these people. You want to be in this setting, and you can do that too. And both options are great. It just depends on the day. For me personally, that's why I only fully lucid dream 3 to 5 times per week, because I like to spend half or a third of the time now just having regular dreams, just to see where my subconscious is at. It's like, okay, I had this type of dream, and you can get into dream interpretation and all that things, but on a fundamental level, it's what you experienced the previous day what you're trying to experience in the future, and what where you are right now, what your subconscious is trying to tell you, or and where you want to be. Like if you have a dream about something you're like, for me, like I'll give you an example. Like the last dream I had was one of my inventions was successful and people were trying it out, and there was a problem that I had to fix. So it was like, what for me when I woke up, it's like, okay, I have to tweak this invention so that problem won't exist. It's stuff like that. It's subconscious thoughts or fears or traumas or goals that arise in those normal dreams. So every now and then you want to just have a normal dream. Like even when you become a consistent lucid dreamer, you still want some normal dreams every now and then, to where you don't control anything. Because if you give up control, yeah. Sorry, what?
Witnessing mode you're talking about, like a witness,
Yeah, it's spectator mode,
right,
where it's like you're along for the ride, and you train yourself. It's kind of reverse training out of lucid dreaming, to train yourself to forget your dreaming and experience the dream. I wouldn't recommend doing that now, obviously, because you're still training yourself to be a lucid dreamer. It's like, I don't want you to backtrack, but once you get to a certain point, you may want to just to have the occasional regular dream. But for the next months, years of your life, you're going to want to try to have as many lucid dreams as possible. So you don't even need to think about that yet. That's like way out there for you.
No,
Yeah.
The reason why I'm bringing this up is because when I try to look for dream patterns and dream signs, and it's been like, even before that, I've been tracking my dreams for 2 months now, and 2-3 months, I can't find a regular pattern. That's the issue. The only pattern is I can really find is that I'm having a lot of spectator mode. Like, dream is happening, I'm not there. Where am I?
Yeah. Well, that's your pattern then. What the training the patterns, like when you write down your dreams, the training your pattern is so you can be a lucid dreamer, right? So it's like, if certain things happen in the dream every single time, like every time, for me when I was a kid, it was like me walking into school when it wasn't a school day, and then I'd realize, oh, I wasn't dreaming. That was my pattern. But that's just to set the stone of when you're in a dream to become a lucid dreamer. So and then once you reach that point, the dreams you interpret are for your waking life experience. So like if you read your dreams cover to cover right now, I'm sure you'll find a few more patterns that you weren't seeing. Like that's a good rule of practice. Like every day, just review it like a book, like a novel, and just go through it, and kind of see where your mind was at in certain situations. And hopefully it's mostly positive. If there's some negative things, that's definitely something you want to interpret and work on so that doesn't happen in the future. But if it's mostly positive, it's like, okay, this is great. Why am I having these types of dreams? What is my subconscious trying to tell me? And the more you ask those questions, the more understanding you'll get. And for you, since you want to reach, a certain level of enlightenment, whatever that looks like for you, whether that's just increased happiness, having spiritual awakeness, what have you, your dreams will be a great interpretation of what step you are in that process.
Well, in the Tibetan dream yoga, have you heard of this?
Mhm.
Dream yoga in Tibetan tradition, right?
Yeah.
You're supposed to practice a few things in the dream when you're lucid.
Mhm.
And the idea is to shatter the illusion of everything in the head, in the mind. And that is like, one of them is to like, the more ambitious one is to make multiple bodies of yourself.
Mhm.
So you can become many, and then jump from some place very high and let yourself just stuff like that. So yeah, so that's the kind of thing I would like to.
Yeah, it's definitely achievable. I've done that before. It's fun. What I mean, that probably the weirdest ones was creating universes. That's the weirdest experiences. It's like, and then you go down to see your creations and you talk to them.
How's that?
It's like, it for me personally, I enjoyed more being a demigod than a god, if that makes sense. So like a god is, the person who creates everything around it, and a demigod is like a superhero living in that creation where they have advanced powers. So like that one's more fun personally for me, because like when you're God and people realize you're God, they're like, help me, help me, help me. I'm like, no, power from within, power from within. It's very silly, but yeah, but it gives you new perspective, you know.
Okay. So you takes time to create the whole universe, like every layer or whatever.
No, you can make it instantaneous if you choose to.
Okay.
Like, I've done it a few different times. Like, I've done one for humans, done one for like what we would call aliens, like trying different worlds and creating things like that. So like, is it me creating that, or like Tesla was saying, the infinite intelligence? Am I connecting with whatever intelligence created that and experiencing that reality? So
Exactly.
who
Yeah.
knows, you know? For me, it's like I try to keep it simple. It's like it's a video game, so I'm just playing video games. But you know, you can view it as infinite intelligence. Whatever religion or science you prescribe to, go for it.
Okay. And you were saying something about lucid community. Is this what's that? The
Yeah,
programs.
there's a Facebook group. We
Oh.
yeah we kind of winded it down. Like I went off social media for several months, and it kind of like winded down. But yeah, we used to have like a Discord where I'd post like inspirational posts, and people would comment and share stories. I think the group still exists. If you just type in Forever Lucid on Facebook, if you want to connect with, you know, other people in related niches. Yeah.
So this, I think it's called Forever Lucid. Your picture is there,
Mhm.
but it looks like all the posts that you put there has been like a year old or something.
Yeah,
Years old.
I kind of went on hiatus. I used to have like a social media manager to manage all that, but like I reached a point where it was like it was doing more harm than good, because it was I don't think Facebook is necessarily a bad thing, but like there's a lot of negative information on there. And like I was kind of encouraging people to go on that site and, you know, get advertisements constantly thrown at them. So I kind of winded that down. I might bring it up again, you know, just for the community aspect, or create my own server where, you know, students can hop on together if they want to share stories. Because like I used to do weekly Zoom calls like this, but with all the students. So whoever wanted to hop in for the day could do that. Um, you know, like have dream discussions, stuff like that. I might bring that back up again. But you know, everyone's in different time zones, and most people, once you're, you know, get several months into it where you're having your own experiences, you know, you reach the point where it's unnecessary for you, honestly. It's like you can kind of interpret your own stuff at that point, like because really it's your own subconscious telling you what you need to know. And really at the end of the day, you know, I can help out, but only you know what you need, right? It's
Yeah.
like I can be a guide, but I can show you the door, you have to enter the door, right? So like that's kind of winded down those kind of things. I might, you know, if people really want that and want the community again, I can always bring that up. But like I looked on Facebook before I shut it down. Like there's several lucid dreaming and astral projection groups with like
Yeah.
tens of thousands of people in it. So you know, if that's what they're looking for, that already exists. And I don't need to facilitate that. But if they want more of a personal feel, I can always bring that back. It's not too difficult. I'll probably do a survey and see what people really want. But I'm focused. Most of my attention now is developing new courses, improving the Lucid Accelerator, and then working on, you know, those side electronic inventions just for fun. So that kind of like takes the majority of my time. But if that's really what, you know, students want, I can always bring it back.
Oh, you're still working on improving the Lucid Accelerator.
Oh yeah, I have uh, I have never stopped since I created that several years ago. We're most recently the platform I use now is Kajabi. And I think I put it on that 2 years ago, but I'm constantly adding new information based on feedback from these calls. Like, you know, when people tell me, you know, that they had certain questions about this, or like with you with the lucid traction method, I'm probably going to add a more in-depth tutorial now on lucid traction because of our call. So that's another reason I like to do these. It's like really get feedback, you know, what's the good stuff that worked, but really what would you hope to see in future programs that can then help future students? Because the more plug and play I can make this program, where it's simple techniques, get results immediately, and the less hand holding they need, the better. So that's kind of the end goal. It's like I've had a few students go through it back when I had a big team. where I would never actually speak to them, but they go through the course and get amazing results. So I want to just maintain that. And I kind of winded it down for a year or two when I was heavily focused on, coming up with inventions, but I realized like, this is such a big part of who I am. That's why I'm trying to do both now. Give like, 70% lucid dreams, 30% inventions now. So I'll slowly build up the team again, and create a few more programs, and keep developing on them. Like I said, the astral projection program, I'm developing further on that one, and the polyphasic one, I'm perfecting that as well, because that's still more individualized based on the person, because that gets really in depth on, that needs some hand holding, especially the first few weeks, because changing your sleep cycle is a big part of who you are. That's a third of your life. So doing that effectively, I'm still working out the kinks, but I've had good results. I've done it for myself. I've done it for students who wanted to take that route, but it's for a very specific type of person. It's like someone who doesn't have a 9-to-5 job, who has the freedom to take naps when they want to, and then someone who can develop consistency, because like you can't miss any naps. You have to do it every day at the same time. There's a whole process, but if you can do it, you can have 3 to 6 lucid dreams per day. So sorry, what?
I can do that.
Yeah. If that's really what you want, if you really want to go that route, we can circle back to that in a few weeks. Just reach out to me, say, hey, Ian, I'm ready for polyphasic sleeping, or hey, I want to try astral projection. We'll hop on a call, discuss your goals, and go that route. But right now, where you're at, you're still in the very early stages of lucid dreaming. So get a few more under your belt, start doing it consistently every week, and start achieving those fundamental goals you wanted to do with enlightenment and reaching higher states of consciousness. So do that first, and if you want to circle back and reach further steps, we can go that route too.
Yeah, because I'm in a retreat center. I'm staying in the retreat center. So I'm in like a retreat mode. Back to your question, you asking me how much meditation I'm doing. It's pretty much like I have like 3 to 4 sessions throughout the day, and each session is 1 hour 45 minutes to 2 hours.
Oh wow! So like meditation's your full-time job right now.
That was why I was making the comment.
You're like on monk level meditation, because they spend hours and hours a day doing that. So yeah, that's definitely why you're advanced. You're definitely an advanced meditator if you're spending that amount of time on it.
In a way, yes, because maybe I should tell you a bit about myself. I was a monk for 2 years. I was in India. I was staying with the monks. Like there's a big monastery.
At a monastery, yeah.
Yeah, with 1,000 monks. Yeah, Tibetan monastery in South India. Before that, I was studying the Tibetan language for about 3 years in Nepal. I stayed in Nepal for 3 years. So I was like fully immersed in the whole thing. And then I did a 1-year retreat in Nepal. So that was like meditating from morning to night. Yeah. I mean, just of course there are gaps, eating breaks, many breaks.
Yeah.
But I was meditating from morning to night. And that was when I was mentioning to you about the first lucid dream I had. That was during that period. It was like 1 year. So I was reading books in between. So one of the books I was reading was Tibetan Dream Yoga. And when I read it, I got lucid dream after like a couple of days. Or I can't remember it was the first day or the second day, but it was like that, without any effort. Yeah, no, nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but of course, because another thing I meant to tell you was that during that period when I was in meditation in Nepal, it was in the hills, it was a retreat center. I started to practice sleep yoga. I don't know if you've heard of sleep yoga, but it's called the clear light of sleep in Tibetan Buddhism. So Tibetan Buddhism has 2 practices for the night. One is dream yoga, and the other one is sleep yoga. And the idea is that you should start with dream yoga, lucid dreaming, and then after you've mastered that, then go to sleep yoga. But me being impatient, I went straight to sleep yoga. Not just because I was impatient, but partly because it was coinciding with the type of meditation I was doing. I thought this makes more sense if I were to jump to that one. So I did that. Of course, it was too challenging. It was too difficult, but I kept on pushing at it. So it's like, you can't do it. You have to wake up like 4 o'clock, something to keep at it. I keep at it every day for a few months, like 3 to 4 months. A lot of failures. Like most of them were like in, out, in, out, in, out.
Mhm.
So this was one of the reasons why I jumped to lucid dreaming. So I felt that I had to tell you this because this is one of the main reasons why I'm taking a step back and
Mhm.
going through this dream.
Yeah, it's like sometimes you need to walk before you can run, right?
Yeah.
Like I said, the whole point of the Lucid Accelerator, it's setting those strong foundations. It's like the old saying, you can't build a mansion on sand; it's going to crumble. You have to put a layer of concrete down, so you have strong foundations to build the mansion around.
Yes.
So you're definitely in the right place. You realize, let's walk first, then we can start running. We can do all those cool, crazy things we want to do, but let's
Yeah.
set strong foundations and work on impatience. I think your biggest hurdle, that with the amount of meditating, it's kind of counterintuitive, but patience is the big thing. Like if you can spend hours of your day with your eyes closed, not doing anything, you can wait a few extra days to achieve certain goals, right? It's like you just need to remember that. It's like I'm spending most of my day, right? If you're spending a third of your life sleeping and then you're spending hours of your day meditating, right? So you're spending the majority of your time in a restful period. So try to get yourself to do something really active, like go for a run or go for a long walk to like just disrupt the day a little bit. Because like you can get into a point where you're too it's good to form healthy habits, but if you take them to the extreme, it's like then you reach that levels like with athletes, like bodybuilders, where they get too big, and then they can't like turn their heads because they're like too jacked. It's that same thing. It's like you can overkill your progress. um and then you form impatience because it's like I'm so patient for meditation, but I need this now. It's like whoa.
You're very patient now.
Oh, now, yeah, it took I mean, certain things I'm still impatient, like inventions. It's like because everything I've created up until this point is digital products. It's all software, really. That's all it is. And now I'm trying to create physical products, and I'm learning about 3D metal printing and getting mechanical and electrical engineers involved. So I'm impatient on that standpoint. It's like, oh, I want it immediate, like I can with software, but learning to be confident and patient, realizing everything takes time. That's a big thing. So everyone's impatient in something. There's always going to be something. You can be the deepest meditative monk in the world, but if you're in that lunch line, you want that rice right now.
Yeah, that's the problem. That's the problem.
Yeah.
So have you been to a state where you forget your own identity? Like, you've taken on so
Like,
many.
yeah, I've done that many times in lucid dreams. Like I've been a farmer a few times. Like I keep circling back to farmer for some reason. I don't know why. I guess I was a farmer in a past life or whatever. But I've done that. Like I said, I've had many experiences. Tried different genders, tried different ethnicities, just for the experience. And that's what I said. Once you lucid dream long enough and you want to experience just regular dreams, of what is your just you right now, what is your subconscious trying to tell you? So that's when you kind of have to force yourself to forget that you're dreaming. It's like, okay, I'm going to just experience this, see where I'm going, and see where the dream takes me, and have a fun experience. And if it's not fun, just wake yourself up. It's not a big deal.
Okay.
Because
Okay, because
even if you train yourself to remember that it's not a dream, that you're not dreaming, and you experience this reality, if you hit a certain point, like I said, a pain threshold or something that doesn't vibe with you, it will trigger something in your brain to be like, oh, it's time to wake up. This isn't a good situation for me to be in anymore, so I'm gonna leave it now.
because one of the purpose of the lucid dreaming in Tibetan traditions or the Buddhist tradition is that our identity is a construct. We
Yeah, thoughts, beliefs, and actions, right? It's just a
Yeah.
fabrication.
So ever since we were born, we've been conditioned and we formed this identity after all these years, right?
definitely.
So if through dreaming, we can understand that, oh, my identity, I, programming are all just illusion, a dream construct.
Mhm.
That really helps with elevating to the higher consciousness. But of course, that's,
Yeah, completely agree.
yeah. So I was wondering whether you have achieved a higher level of consciousness through your
I mean,
adventures.
being a god, I think, is kind of like the peak of consciousness. So,
But how about
yeah,
translating into waking life?
I mean, it gave me the realization that I could create anything I wanted. There's no limits, and any limitations that are currently set can be bent or broken. Like laws. Certain laws can. It's like that Matrix quote. It's like some
Yeah.
laws can be bent, others can be broken. And they had a very similar philosophy. It's like we're all living in a simulation, or a dream world. It's the same. It's the same logic. Um, so yeah, with that knowledge, I think that was the biggest thing for me. It's like, and then when I was in that powerful position, and other people were asking me, and I would resort to saying power from within. That helped me realize too. It's like everything I ever do and ever did was completely up to me. Like you can explain, you can, say external factors all day long, but at the end of the day, once you reach a certain level of adulthood, you can control what happens to your life based on your thoughts, beliefs, and actions. There's no limitations. Yet some people will have a better footing. Some people will be further along in the race than you, but you can develop something to get you where you want to go. I,
So
I believe that 100%.
you broke many concepts like within the mind through that.
Yeah,
Like,
I've always been like very, loosey goosey on what is mine. Like one of my first lucid dreaming experiences, I got caught in a dream loop. It's where, because like before I trained myself how to wake myself up from a dream, and I train all you guys, like I had to learn all these things before I started teaching them. So a dream loop is, I thought the way to wake up was to go to sleep in the dream. So that's actually to go into a deeper level dream. So what I did was I got so deep, I was like 20 deep into dreams, and I was in the same dream loop. I would get out of bed, go back to sleep, fall asleep, get out of bed, go to sleep. And I feel like I hit the rock bottom of subconscious. It's like the very base level of
yeah,
subconscious.
yeah.
And I had that realization. It's like, okay, that's what this is. And then I woke myself up from all those 20 levels. So you can either go either way. You can go super high or super low. That's completely up to you. I wouldn't recommend. Yeah.
What's the bottom look like?
It's I recently, it was a very trippy experience. One of the levels, I'm gonna be completely honest. One of the levels, I walked into the hallway and saw a shady bearded figure, and was completely calm. I was like, okay. And then I walked and did another dream level. And personally, me a few months ago, I came home to visit my parents, so in the family home, and I was walking down the hallway. I had a big beard at the time, and I looked back. I didn't see anything, but I had like a feeling, like I felt something, and I was like, "Oh, I was connecting to the 12-year-old subconscious at that point." And I was looking at myself, and I was like, "That was like the most trippy moment I've ever had." I was like, because I've had premonitions where dreams where certain things happened in reality, but like on that level, it was like it was really trippy, and it changed my perspective.
My friend was telling me this,
Hmm.
that he has many times experienced this, where he would like he's a very special guy. He's very good concentration,
Hmm.
and he would have experienced now and said, "Wait, where did I experience this before?" Then he would remember, "I dreamt it before," but he couldn't. The problem is he couldn't recall the dream until he has already experienced it for the second time.
Yeah, that deja vu moment. Yeah,
Deja
I used to have those all the time, because if you think about it, whether it's infinite consciousness, you're trying out all these realities and you happen to remember that one, or on a simpler level, your dreams are planning for the future, right? So they will run through many different opportunities and potential options before your conscious mind experiences that, just to make sure it's the path you want to go down. and what aligns with your thoughts and beliefs at the time. So, you will have dreams where you play out certain scenarios, and then if you don't record them and write them down, and then once the scenario happens, it will trigger that memory, because you can still access all those memories you've ever had ever since you were a little kid if you really go deep into your subconscious. So yeah, you'll have all those deja vu moments of, oh, I already experienced this. Oh, why didn't I remember it sooner? It's like stuff like that.
But how about the bottom part? You said you hit bottom, and then how do you feel like when you were?
Well, at that time, I was very young, so I was scared. I hadn't reached a level of confidence with lucid dreams yet, and I didn't have a teacher back then. I was like, it was my third day lucid dreaming, so like I was still figuring out the ropes. So it made me uncomfortable at the time, but looking back on it now, like I'm glad it happened. It was like just another experience to have. And it shows you, like you can go really deep inside your own subconscious. And when you get there, you can find that everything's the same. It's because if you think about it, right, what we're experiencing right now, it's our subconscious. 95% of the thoughts led us to this position right now where we're having this conversation.
Yeah.
But you can't always think on a macro level life like that, right? Because you would never get anything done. You just talk theories all day. You'd be like a theoretical physicist just coming up with ideas, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's fine. But
that's one thing I thought I'd just quickly share with you about the person I was telling you about, Lester, the guy
Mhm.
who got diagnosed with heart disease, and he was going to die, right?
Mhm.
So he okay, so he came back to life. Obviously, he was alive in full health. So he felt very amazing things starting to happen to him. So then he thought he wanted to experiment something, to do something. He wanted to become a millionaire,
Mhm.
right? And so he thought he wants to become a millionaire. It's like the shortest time possible, like whatever it takes, with very little effort, almost nothing, doing very little things, and the money was just coming to him. So he started buying apartments, buildings, and with no money. We don't know whether it is 100% true or sometimes believable, but I believe what he's saying. So he did that, and he ended up owning. This is in New York.
Mhm.
He lived in New York. He ended up owning 20 apartments in 2 years, and he became a millionaire in 2 years.
Mhm.
This was back in 1950s, and this is like a lot of money. 1950s, $1 million US.
Yeah, that's like 100 million now, like 10,
Yeah.
20. So it's a lot.
So he thought he did that with very little effort. So he taught that his students later on that you want to achieve things, you just have to release and do very little,
Mhm.
and let it come to you.
Yeah, if you believe that it will
What you're
happen,
saying, right?
exactly.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. If you believe it will happen and it will take you no effort at all, and you just let go and allow it to happen, it's all about allowing at that point. It's like if you believe it's already happened, one, you have to believe you're already a millionaire or billionaire or trillionaire, or whatever you want to be. If you want to be the world's first trillionaire, that might be cool. I might go for that, be the world's first trillionaire. And end world hunger, poverty, and disease, create world peace. That would be fun, and if you believe you can achieve all that, and you already did, and you're just living in that reality as it starts to form around you, that's pretty cool. Hey, that might be the next step I take. Hey, we just came up with my next career path.
Your next career path.
Yeah, become a trillionaire and create world peace. There you go.
I'm kind of surprised you haven't tried that yet. That's actually where I'm thinking.
Yeah, it's good.
Why haven't you tried it?
Yeah, why not? I mean, like I've lived so many different versions of reality and dreams. It's like might as well make this one as extreme as possible, right? Why not?
But because you were telling me, right, in our first conversation, like you're not making much with this, like making money
Yeah,
with
it's just
stuff,
getting
right?
by at this point. Because like I did turn it off for a year or two when I went heavy into creating the inventions, and
Oh,
I'm starting to start it up again. So I think it might be like a good source. Like I've never viewed it as my main, business. I've always viewed it as, something I like helping people
okay.
with. But if I start viewing it as a business and really like turn it into high gear, make it like multi-million-dollar revenue business, that might push the inventions further along. So it's like I'm in a interesting place right now, because like it's definitely the most fun thing I do. But once you turn it into a career
Yeah.
and a livelihood, it changes
Yes.
your perspective on it a little bit. And I never want to get jaded. I never want to reach a point where I'm just earning revenue for the sake of earning revenue, and I don't feel like I'm adequately helping people. And if I ever reach that point, I'd have to stop and turn it back into what it used to be. But like I definitely think like it has the potential to be a full self-sustaining company. I could get tens to hundreds of employees in it and help a lot more people. Because if I really ramp it up and scale it properly, I could help tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people become lucid dreamers. And that might be a fun personal goal to go for. Like the part of the personal jadedness, it's like when you've already had all these material possessions and all these wonderful experiences in dreams, and then you're in reality, it's like, do I really want that again? Because I've already experienced what that's like. And it's like on some level you do, because you feel like, yeah, that's just a dream, but this is just a dream too. And on
Yeah.
another level, you're like, yeah, let's do it. What's the point of just like I said, like when I took that gap year, several years ago, like there's only so much entertainment you can enjoy. You got to do something with your life and make it meaningful. And I already traveled the world. I already had those experiences. I already watched more entertainment than I ever could. Now I'm just focused on, I'm going to help people and help as many people as possible. That's just what my goal is going to be for life. Just help as many people as possible and have fun doing it.
Okay. Not enlightenment, right? No.
I already I already reached my own personal level of enlightenment. Like when I had that God experience, that's enlightenment enough for me.
Okay. Right. Okay.
Yeah. Good chat though. Like I don't awfully go that deep in myself. So yeah, this was great. Like I need to start doing this with someone else to, reflect on my own goals. So yeah, thanks for this.
I was thinking, why don't you revisit that bottom level one more time? Because I maybe
No,
it's too tricky, but
that's a good idea. Like I haven't done that since I was 12, so like I might have a completely different experience. So it's definitely worth a shot.
because okay, it's like what we call it in Buddhism is that it's called substrate consciousness, where that's
Mhm.
where lucid dreaming. Oh, okay, wait, I back it up a bit. There are two levels. Substrate consciousness is where lucid dreaming is happening, and then there's a layer below it called the substrate, and that's where deep sleep is happening. So ideally speaking, I've heard this guy who was talking about how to access the substrate through lucid dreaming.
Mhm.
But he said he made it very simple. He said all he had to do was to close the dream eyes to access that. But I guess what it means is you don't go to sleep, but you simply stop the show. That's probably what he meant.
Mhm.
Um, because what is called in Buddhism is that it's called the clear light of sleep. So it's like it's basically it means lucidity, but in terms of deep sleep, not in terms of dreaming.
Yeah.
So it's like it's called supposed to be like the highest level of lucidity possible. So it's like the whole it's like a total merging of the like lucid dreaming. There's still a duality so going on, but here it's like everything collapses into the subject, and it's all just full spectrum awareness, clarity kind of thing. I
Mhm.
mean, I've experienced it before many times, but the problem is getting too lost. But yeah, so I'm thinking like the bottom level that you told me about could be that substrate
Yeah.
consciousness. Yeah.
That
So
definitely makes sense. Yeah, it's very similar experience to what I had when I was a kid. So yeah, like
right.
I never gone that low before again. So like might be worth a shot just to, because I've already pretty much done everything else. Might as well.
Have you tried that method where this guy was saying that you close the dream eyes?
Like close the dream lines to me means like you enter a state of complete darkness, right? Where like nothing's happening at all.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I've done that
You felt
before.
like
Yeah.
nothing happened.
Yeah, like complete nothingness for a long period of time. Yeah. Yeah, I've done that before.
Okay, maybe he meant close the dream eyes, but with the intention to enter the substrate. So that could be. Yeah,
Yeah, because like, you know, at the end of the day, you know, when you're in those deep levels of subconscious, you need an intention. You know, you have to be doing something. Otherwise, you're just hanging out in the void, right?
yeah,
And you, like you said, you can get lost in the void. I mean, like, there's going to be a period of time. It's like when you're meditating. It's like you can have no thoughts for hours, but at some point you're going to have a thought because you're still human,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
um,
yeah.
so yeah, I think that's at the end of the day. But like
So what?
personally, yeah, short-term and long-term goals are most important, you know, that affect this reality right now that we're living in, because we seem to keep coming back to it. So, you know, the conditions that set us up on this path, we keep
Yeah,
coming back to it for a reason, or they might be completely reasonless. Either way, it's like let's see what else we can achieve and what we want to achieve. And as long as our emotional state is I'm having fun, I'm happy. And yeah, you
okay.
can have depression days and sad, you know, crying days. But if the 90% of your experience is happy and joyful, then you're doing the right things, you know?
So are you like in the flow state quite often?
I'd say a good portion of the time, yeah. Like when I avoid like entertainment and I'm just I have a goal I want to achieve, it's pretty easy for me to get in there nowadays.
Flow state.
um and that's just another layer of consistency that you can build up to. It's like people who are artists or music songwriters who do that for a living, who do it every day. If you get in the habit of getting in that state, it's hard ramping up to it, but once you're there, all you have to do is maintenance mode, and you know that's 30% of the effort.
Okay.
um so you can build up to any state you want. Like a good thing, like we did this when you first joined with me. It's like we mapped out where do you want to be in 12 months. If you keep doing that and keep going further and further in the future, and realize that 12-month goal could be a 3-day goal, you know, what have you, because
Yeah.
you know time is our linear construct that we've created for ourselves, you know, living in this three-dimensional world, having a linear perception of time. You know, time could be cyclical or infinite consciousness. All time exists right now, and
Yes.
we can point and choose at what point we enter that. So you know that comes down to your perspective. Like that guy who said, I want to be a millionaire and I want it to be easy, so he made it easy for himself. Like he could have, if he accepted the constraints like of, oh, I'm going to go play the lottery and win $1 million. You know, there's been countless law of attraction stories of people doing that. Like
Yeah.
I remember recently watching one where this guy had tweeted for several months, I'm so happy I won the Powerball today. And then like a few months later, he won $100 million. And everybody was like, oh my God, that's insane. It's like, and now he
Right.
just travels and does crazy things.
Really? Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
actually, the story of Lester was even a bit more crazier than what I told you. I he was telling stories of thinking like he was imagining a Cadillac. I mean, back in those days, this is
Mhm.
1950s, right? Cadillac was a big thing.
Yeah.
So he was imagining Cadillac, the color of the seats, everything. And the next day, the friend turned up the door and say, "I want you to have my Cadillac because someone just gave it to me, and I decided no one to have it. Here's the
Yeah.
keys."
So, see, what
And
he did was he believed he was already in it and experiencing that. And then what his subconscious did was he aligned with that reality that would allow him that situation to take place.
yeah,
So, yeah,
yeah.
it's no
So
different from anything else. Yeah.
we did it within a day, and he kept on repeating it, and it kept on coming to him.
Mhm.
He would travel from which part of the US to Los Angeles with no money. And anyway, this is his story. He left the apartment, he walked out, and the friend would just meet him along the way and say, "Oh, by the way, this is the money I thought I owe you." And he gets the money from that guy, he goes to get the ticket, and he flies there, and then he gets a place to stay somehow. I can't remember the story. With no plan,
Mhm.
nothing. So that's the story. Yeah.
Yeah. When you don't have a plan, you make a plan, you know, subconsciously. If you have, obviously you have to be careful with that, you know, because if you don't have the intention of everything's going to work out, you can easily become homeless. But if you have the intention of everything works out for me and I'm going to have all these amazing opportunities, then you'll have that experience. It's like that guy who went from homeless to billionaire. You know, he had the extreme worst and now he's had the extreme best, you know, or at least what we perceive for this reality.
Yeah. So I guess you could consciously intend to dream something and translate it to base reality.
Oh yeah, I've done that many times. Like, and I've helped students like do job interview preps. That's a big one. Or I had an artist who was having, not artist, a writer. He was having writer's block, and he wanted to write. He was working on his novel, and he hadn't written anything in months, and he was having like extreme writer's block. And he used the lucid dream to re-engage his creativity to come up with new ideas. And you know, that's been used. Like yesterday, Paul McCartney's song was very famously written in his dream. And there's countless situations like that. Like most of Nikola Tesla's work were all written in his dreams. Einstein, several of his theories were written in dreams. I think Benjamin Franklin came up with the bifocals in a dream. So it's like countless examples. And even if it doesn't happen in a dream and you just are consciously aware of it, I guarantee you the night before, even if they didn't remember it, they had a dream similar to that experience about to happen.
Yeah.
You know, because it comes down to necessity. It's like, why do people invent things? Because they want things that they don't currently perceive are happening yet. It's like, why does people want money? Because they want to buy things because they think they'll be happier in having it. And if you believe you already have it, like that guy with the Cadillac, it will appear, you know, in one way or another, depending on your belief system.
Okay, so I'll work on that. That's the main.
Yeah, on a fundamental level, thoughts, beliefs, and actions. Just think about what you're thinking about. You know, on a most basic level, write down, what am I thinking about every day? Is it positive? Is it negative? Is it encouraging me to my next step? If it's not, I need to change my thoughts. And then your beliefs will start to align with those new thoughts. And then you'll start taking proper action to get you to those goals. You know, if your goal is to become a millionaire, probably meditating every day isn't going to get you to that millionaire goal. It will keep you emotionally happy, but like, you know, creating a business that gives value to people, that will make you a millionaire. You know, stuff like that.
You give me 1 second. I just want to end this properly, but I need to pee quickly. So
oh yeah,
1
sure.
second. Yeah, sorry. But if you like, there are gods in the higher realms, where they call the form realms, and they will be like experiencing consistent bliss all the time. That's so.
Same thing. Like Christianity believes in heaven. It's the like same concept. Or Judaism, it's like there's different levels of, you know, heaven or consciousness. It's like just being blissed out all the time. But like I've been in those states before where it's like everything's awesome and totally awesome, but it's like snapping your fingers, getting everything you want. After a certain time period, you just get so bored. It's like it's weird being bored from bliss, like that. You think the two don't equate, right? But I guess because we're still attached to, you know, humanity, that we still want to have new experiences. Because like if I wasn't, I probably would have just stayed there, right? So I guess it was important I got bored that I came back.
Well, there are different levels of bliss. There's a physical bliss and mental bliss. And there's also a different level of subtlety in that. There's also the state of being equanimous together with bliss. And there is also the bliss that sort of be too strong, or partial bliss. So yeah, I don't know.
Many levels.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I definitely think this is a good place to end. Like this has definitely gone on longer than they normally do, but I've had a lot of fun and it was a blast. So it was great speaking with you. You know, continue. Yeah, definitely continue with the course as you've been doing. As always, you know, if you have any like you know, serious questions, feel free to reach out. Happy to help. And in a few weeks, when you're ready to decide on your next path, just reach out. We'll hop on a strategy session and see where you want to go.
Okay. And yeah, I still find very quite interested in what you said about the polyphasic stuff. And yeah.
Okay, yeah, we'll circle back to that in a couple of weeks. Just reach out and we'll schedule a strategy session and see what path you want to take.
Yeah, but I guess I'm not that I'll have to qualify. It probably take some time.
Yeah. I wouldn't recommend us discussing that until you finish the course and at least 1 to 2 weeks past the course. Once you're lucid dreaming consistently 1 to 3 times per week, and you've already achieved some of your initial goals. Once you reach that point, then reach out to me and we'll follow up.
And I probably would have to revisit week number 3, 4, 5, right?
Yeah.
Like,
when you finish week 6, revisit weeks 3 through 5. You can hop around. You don't have to follow them in order, but re-go through the exercises, definitely. That's it. And keep doing that pretty much forever. just you don't have to do it all the time, but like come back to it every now and then. It's like going to the gym, right? You're just pumping those muscles.
Okay, so reality check has to be a constant thing. Yeah?
It doesn't have to be, but it's definitely a good practice to keep up. Like me personally, like I kind of phased that out of my experience a while ago, because I used to do it by watch, where I'd get an alarm and look at my watch and then do it. But if you build that into your system, like I just don't wear a watch anymore. So that's why I personally stopped. But it's definitely one of the better techniques. Like teachers like do as I say, not as I do kind of thing.
So, yes.
All right. Yeah.
So it's okay for me to like send you messages like.
Yeah, that's you can do that for life. Even if you don't do any future courses, I'm that resource for you. That's why I did this in the whole first place. If you have any questions, need help with the dream interpretation, anything like that, just reach out.
Okay, that's really appreciate that very much.
Of course, yeah. All right, talk to you soon.
Okay. Thanks. And send me the video.
Will do. All right, bye.
All right, yeah. Bye-bye.